After sputtering through the first half at home against the Houston Texans, the New York Jets offense comes to life and pulls off a 21-13 victory. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. That's what it's supposed to look like, folks. That second half of football tonight, those are the images we had in our heads as this season approached, wondering what the season held for us, what it held for the New York Jets. And when you thought about all of the additions and you thought about having Aaron Rodgers, and especially once you added Devontae Adams, what this New York Jets team did in the second half, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you're 3-6. I mean, great, you won. Fun game to watch, big time plays. Garrett Wilson, goodness. I mean, that catch, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right up there with the catch he made last year in week 1, as I shot a couple messages with my good friend Scott Mason, and exactly what he said. Like week 1 last year. I'd love to know where fans stand on that. Which is the more impressive catch? I think this year's wins because of recency bias. But either way, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, after what was one of the worst first halves of his career, threw for 32 yards in the first half, 7 for 14. So he completed 50% through 32 yards. Absolutely disgusting. I tweeted because I've heard people say it all year, and I just kind of roll my eyes and say, we're being silly now. I understand there may be some situations, but there are people who have said Tyrod Taylor would be a better option at quarterback. And I just kind of shake my head and say, look, you got to give this thing time for Rodgers to settle in. But that was the first few weeks. Like now we're at a point where, in my mind, he should have settled in. And when he threw for 32 yards in the first half tonight, I tweeted out, I said, this is the first time that I don't think it's hyperbolic to say this offense might be better with Tyrod Taylor. That's how bad that first half was. Aaron Rodgers, first play of the game, Devontae Adams, wide open, deep down the right sideline. Might have been 6 if he hits him. Overthrows him. A drive or two later, Mike Williams, wide open, deep down the right sideline. Overthrows him. Had another pass later, throws behind. I can't remember if it was Garrett, Devontae, whoever threw the ball way behind him. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking it might not happen this year. It just might not happen. They might. I actually, Halloween night, right before the game, I go trick or treating with the kids. And I have a Jets shirt on, and I think, well, I'm gonna get some comments about the Jets and how scary they are. It's because it's at a U.S. Air Force base, so it's all Americans. And second I get out of the car with the kids, start walking. We're not there 30 seconds, and I hear someone go, "Oh, the Jets, that's pretty scary." So I laugh, play along. I say, "Hey, I'm just trying to bring them back from the dead." And guy was a Bears fan. We had a nice 2-3 minute chat, and he says to me, "So what do you think with you guys this year? You're gonna pull it off?" And by pull it off, I assume he means like make the playoffs or make a playoff run. And I said, "You know what, man?" I said, "If this team could put it together, they can make a run, but I don't know if it's gonna happen." How we doing, Wild Wave? Hope you enjoyed the game tonight. I know I did. And so I say to this guy, I say, here's my biggest fear with this team is that they're going to lose a few more in a row, and then they're going to put it together and close the season out with 5-6 wins in a row and still miss the playoffs. And that still could happen. I'm not putting them in the playoffs at 3-6. But it's frustrating. This was with, now you're down to your 4th string guard. I don't know what happened to Hansen. I don't know if it's because he was struggling, but they pulled him and they went to Fashanu. Olu Fashanu played right guard for most of the game. Max Mitchell played left guard. Didn't hear what happened to John Simpson. So you had 4 tackles and Joe Tippmann out there, and the Jets did a damn good job. I loved how they opened the second half. I just mentioned the Rodgers struggles, and I'm watching and I'm seeing that Breece Hall is averaging 5.4, 6.4 a carry in the first half, and I'm like, why don't they just run it? Rodgers is all over the place. Just run the ball. They come out that second half, first drive of the second half, run. I think it was 4 or 5 in a row, and chunks, first down. Then they start throwing it a little bit, and then Rodgers starts connecting, and then you start feeling like, all right, maybe they'll get some rhythm here. And they did. Aaron Rodgers, as I said, threw for 32 yards in the first half. And then what does he do? He finishes the game 22 of 32. So he went 15 of 18 in the second half, which is insane, off the charts. Had the 3 touchdown passes, 2 to Garrett Wilson, 1 to Devontae Adams. The Devontae Adams touchdown sealed it. Brees goes 15 for 74. Adams, it would have been nice. I tweeted this out. It would have been nice to see if the Jets had one more drive, if they could have gotten 10 yards each for Devontae and Garrett, because that would have put them both at 100. Garrett finished with 90 yards, Devontae 91. Tammy says Rodgers looked better than second. Looked phenomenal. He looked like a different player. He was the deep ball to Devontae. I mean, one of the biggest concerns about Aaron Rodgers this year, and there have been many, the mobility, the timing always looks off, but the deep ball accuracy has been so bad. And so to see him hit Devontae on that shot for the touchdown, the Garrett ball wasn't it's not exactly a 50, 60 yarder or even a 40 yarder, but hitting Garrett, and again, you can't say enough about that catch Garrett Wilson made. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Google it, search it on Twitter, whatever you got to do. Garrett Wilson made one of the best catches you'll ever see in your life. My was my first thought, and I tweeted out while they're reviewing it. Actually, I started tweeting before they mentioned the review, and I said, like, does his shin not count? Like, I was aggravated because I'm like, that to me, his shin clearly was down. And I tweeted out, does his shin not count? What's going on here? And then they review it, and the shin touched down, and that's what they got, a touchdown. Yeah, some dumb penalties tonight. My holy king, Malachi Corley. Every time I see a player, be it college or pros, do that idiot thing where they drop the ball before getting into the end zone. Every time. I'm like, well, at least we haven't had a Jets player stupid enough to do that. Because that's like, when you see something like that happen, you're like, that's a Jets thing. That's every time I see a play that dumb or that bad, whenever you're scrolling through your Twitter feed or you're watching a game and you see a play that's so dumb you can't fathom somebody did it. And I'm not, every time I see that, I think to myself, that's how the Jets are going to lose a Super Bowl. If the Jets ever get to a Super Bowl in my lifetime, that's how they're going to lose it. Every time I see an unfathomably dumb play. And every time I see a player drop a goddamn ball before he crosses the goal line, I say that's how the Jets are going to lose a Super Bowl. Like, it's going to be something dumb like that. Wasn't the Super Bowl, but how hard is it to carry the ball to the end zone? What is the urgency? What's the sense of urgency to get rid of this 8-ounce bag of air that you can't carry it into the end zone? I'm way too cool to do that. I'm going to drop this thing off before I get there. I got to start my celebration. This ball's slowing me down. It is unfathomably stupid for anyone who does it. Thank God it didn't cost them the game tonight. And I'm one of these people I'm like, let's get Malachi Corley in there. Let's get Malachi Corley some opportunities. The kid can play. We know he can do some things. Come on, Jets. Do the right thing. Play Malachi Corley. What does Malachi Corley do? He does that. That was so bad. Wild Wave. Hopefully he can look. If he doesn't learn from that, I mean, that coaches got to have a policy. Pro, college, I don't get. You do that, you're sitting for 3 weeks. Carry the damn ball into the end zone. Anyway, see, I'm supposed to be enjoying this, but I just thought about the Corley thing. Fashanu had the big hold, which didn't matter a whole lot because the Jets ended up scoring a touchdown. That was a big hold on Fashanu. Watts had a huge penalty. So the rookies made some plays, but the rookies had some really, really bad, some killer mistakes. My holy king, we have a real kicker. I'm not so sure about that. I had to ding that extra point in through the upright or off the uprights and through. Boogie Down Bronx says another Jet-like performance. Lose to the Pats and win tonight. Look, I'm not ready to say they're going to run the table. But they have 8 sacks. Right now, this game, no matter what happens the rest of the way this season, the way the Jets played this game tonight against the Texans is exactly how this team was built to win. Able to run the ball, efficient, even better than efficient, a very good Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, and defense getting after the quarterback. 8 sacks, I believe, at last count. Hassan Reddick got his first one. Michael Clemens got one, put him at 3.5 for the year, which is a career high for him with 10 games to go. Clemens had a couple of plays. And listen, I know we've all been frustrated by Michael Clemens' play at times this year, but I've always sort of said he's, as a depth piece, as a rotational guy to give you 15, 20 snaps a game. You could do worse, but just trying to pop over to the box score here and take a look. So Rodgers finishes 22 of 32 for 211 and 3 touchdowns. Brees goes 15 for 74. Malachi Corley 1 for 18. Could have been 19. Almost could have been 19 and a touchdown. Braylon Allen 4 for 9. Then on the receiving end of things, Devontae Adams 7 for 91 and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson 9 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. Kenny Yeboah, welcome back to Kenny Yeboah. 1 catch for 12 on a big third down conversion. Mike Williams had 1 for 6. Brees 2 for 11. Ruckert 1 for 4. Nothing for Braylon. Tyler Conklin had 1 catch for -3. Someone had said in the chat a second ago, are the Jets better without Mosley? Listen, I like Mosley. For those of you who missed it, I shouted him out. Huge thank you to him. He took the time to take a picture with me and my kid when we went out to the London game, which for my 10-year-old, he was absolutely over the moon. But just from a pure football perspective, I think I actually, what was it, week? I forget what it was, week 1, 2, 3, whatever it was this year, when Mosley came out for a few plays, week 2 maybe, and Sherwood came in, and people were like, "Oh God, we don't have Mosley. Mosley's out. Now we're in trouble." And I said, Sherwood is ready. Like Jamie and Sherwood's ready. And funny enough, I think he got beat on a pass play like 10 seconds later. Because God forbid I tweet something nice about somebody and they make a play. Yeah, Sherwood, he's younger, he's faster, he played safety, he can cover, he can hit. He's developed really, really well. He's turning out to be a tremendous value pick for this team. I think they are better without Mosley. And I love Mosley. Like I said, proven vet. He's been doing it for a long time. And you wonder, when I heard neck last week, it's like, is this did they sit down and have a conversation and say like, look, TJ, we love you. You're not the starter anymore. We can find a reason to IR you. But you're not going to be on the field all that much. So we'll see what happens. Left the game after 1 snap last week. Did not play this week. Texans didn't look like a 6-2 team. Well, they didn't. But the Jets did have something to do with that. Quinnen Williams. This is really, everyone said last week was his first good game. Go back a week before that. This is 3, in my mind, is for me watching the football game, this is 3 really good games in a row for Quinnen Williams. Slow start, shouldn't have happened. I get it. It sucks. But Quinnen is there now. He's dialed in. Sauce, not a down year for him. Silver lining to that, after the year he's had this year, Sauce, if Sauce came out and had another all-pro type year, even if it wasn't an actual all-pro, but played at that level, he could end this season and say, I want a new deal now, and I want 30, 35 million a year, whatever. With the down year he's had, it's unlikely he's going to, his agents are going to demand the Jets come to the table. They still could, because the Jets, listen, fans get down on guys. Teams know what guys are. The Jets have enough film on Sauce, they know enough about him that they can be like, all right, Sauce is we know what we've got here. We know what he's worth. And maybe they do look for a new deal. But with the way he's played, maybe not. Maybe they push it back a year. Will McDonald, yep, good game for him. 2 sacks for Sherwood, a sack for Hassan Reddick. Let's see, Adams, Rodgers. Exactly. Tommy, that's the thing, right? We hope for big results right away from those two. Week 2, and this is funny, this is another piece of the conversation I had with this guy when I got out of the car tonight, was as I said, look, everyone wants Devontae to be great right away, but week 1, they only had a couple practices together. Week 2, he's going against Christian Gonzalez. So he didn't really see any targets. This to me was like, today was a big game. And again, when that first half finished and Aaron Rodgers had 32 yards passing, I was just like, oh, I guess they're never going to click. Maybe Devontae's lost a step. Aaron's definitely not Aaron anymore, but he looked like it in the second half today. Hector says we've postponed the pain for at least a week. Look, I'm happy, man. I just, I got so down on this team, and deservedly so. This is still, 1 win doesn't change the fact that this is a hugely disappointing season. 1 win doesn't change the fact that this team is 3-6, and with a better kicker, could easily be 6-3 right now. That sucks, man. That sucks. Literally. And it's funny because we've all said it over the past few weeks with the kicker thing. And then after this last win to the Patriots, I felt like, yeah, they could have won it if the kicker did his job. But I also felt like you have enough talent that it shouldn't come down to the kicker. So, and I actually had a back and forth with a good friend of mine who was, he's messaging me. It's the kicker's better. If the kicker's better, it's because of the kicker, which isn't wrong. But I'm like, I'm tired of hearing it because, especially again, where you are that much more talented than the team that just beat you, I don't want to hear about the kicker. But it's not wrong that this team with a better kicker is in a much better position right now. This team, in my opinion, had they played their offensive linemen from the start, from training camp and gave them some live reps, I think they would have gotten things going a lot quicker. But listen, this is the NFL. How crazy is it that the Jets haven't been able to get things going on the ground? Although I will say, let me back that up a little bit. And I tweet this isn't something I'm saying just because of the win. I actually pointed this out after last week's loss and said, look, I get it. The team sucks. Playoff hunt is over. Nobody wants to hear it right now. But in case you hadn't noticed, this offensive line is playing much better. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even sure what the numbers were tonight. I want to take a quick look, see how many times Aaron Rodgers was sacked this evening. I know they got to him. 2. So Aaron Rodgers was sacked twice this week, once the week before, once the week before that, 3 the week before that. So over the past 4 weeks, the Jets are giving up 2 sacks a game, and they're running the ball. They ran the ball well again tonight. 3 of the last 4 games, Brees Hall at 4.5, 5 yards a carry. One game, I forget which game, he was like 3.2 a carry, which is bad, but it's not what it had been in previous weeks where they're running for 10 yards. So the running game is moving. The pass pro has gotten better. This is why I've said for weeks now, I think not playing this O-line with 4 new starters earlier, I think not playing these guys was a big mistake. But if you look, but again, this is the how the hell does this happen piece of this. Tonight, you had 2 tackles playing guard, and you were absolutely fine. And another thing, I said this during the game, we've been saying for a couple of years now. I think since Max Mitchell was drafted on our show on Jet Nation Live, we've been saying give Max Mitchell some reps at guard. I think he could be a guard. Tonight he played guard again for Simpson, played well. Maybe this, adds a little bit of flexibility, value to Max Mitchell, who he was one of the bigger question marks this year, right? I think we all agreed like he might not make the roster, but it was so hard to tell because to me, year one, he was not great, but fans were over the moon with his performance because he exceeded expectations. Being a day 3 pick who wasn't supposed to play, and he played and he had a couple of good moments. People were like, "Oh, future starter," and I was like, "Well, future player. Let's slow down." He had one not very good year, but it still exceeded expectations. But sometimes when people exceed expectations, we conflate that to like, oh, he's amazing. Max Mitchell was never great, but Max Mitchell played well enough that you thought maybe this guy would be pretty good. And then year 2, he starts off slow. He gets with the blood clots, whatever it was, and then he misses the rest of the year. Comes back last year and just didn't look good at all. Looked really bad. But you're like, all right, is it because of the recovery? Is he not 100% yet? So this year, to me, for Max Mitchell, was his make or break year. There's no I'm a rookie excuse. There's no I'm injured. There's no I'm coming back from an injury. This is you are now a veteran who's got a few years in the league. You got to play, make some plays, show you belong. And he had a good camp. And I said during training camp, I said, look, I get it's preseason and he's playing backups. I get all that, but I thought Max Mitchell looked good in the preseason. Glad he made the roster, played well tonight. So good job for him. Good job for him. Packers fan here, get ready for Jets for another run the table. Listen, here's the thing. This year has been such a colossal disappointment that I'm not going to allow myself to get overly enthusiastic anymore. I half jokingly, when they traded for Devontae and they had that Steelers game coming up, I said on our show, half joking, I was like, they're going to run the table out. This team's going to run the table. But deep down, I was thinking, they're going to lose to the Steelers. But I could see them running the table from there. New England, Houston, Arizona. Like, I was looking at that like, this team has enough talent to run the table after that Pittsburgh game. So I still had some hope. I did. Once you lost to the Pats, I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. I can't do the optimistic, homer, and all part of it is I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in curses. But I was like, I'm always taking well, not always. Too often, I give them the benefit of the doubt and I take the optimistic approach. I was like, that's it. Negative for me all year. I'm not picking them to win another game. And they're not making the playoffs. But as a fan, of course, there's that part of me going, if this talent puts it together, like I said to the guy tonight when he said, "Can you guys pull it off?" And I said, I said they have enough talent to win 5 or 6 in a row at some point, but I'm worried it's going to be, when they're mathematically eliminated. So look, I'm not putting them in the playoffs at 3-6. But tonight was fun. It does make the previous weeks disappointing. You're good enough to beat a lot of the teams you lost to. And I think, there's a very good chance when this season wraps up that the Jets will be saying, we had a better kicker. We'd be getting ready for the playoffs right now. But we'll see what happens. Holy King, or my Holy King, says, who do we play next? Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Let's pop in the chat. Missed a few of these. When Devontae got injured, I thought he was going to be out for the season. Tell you what, man, I saw him not get up, and I was like, there we go. Lazard's on IR. There goes Devontae. You're 1 or 2 snaps away from Malachi Corley being your wide receiver 1. With Lazard on IR, do you think they keep Mike Williams? Good question. Depends on what teams are offering. And it depends on whether or not they think, despite the screw up tonight, if they think, because even tonight, Mike Williams didn't. What do you have? 1 catch, 2 catches? I said it a minute ago. I'll take a look real quick because I already forgot. Mike Williams, 1 catch for 6 yards, and they still won. I think they can manage without him, but I'm happy either way. I like Mike Williams. I get there were some issues. There have been some issues, but with Lazard on IR, I agree, beloved piece. That's why you're asking, and I think it's a great question. I think it's a fair question. I would like to see them keep Mike Williams, but I don't know that if they get a decent offer, I don't know that they won't let him go. Again, I think it's Arizona next. My Holy King says keep Mike Williams. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it is the Cardinals. There's still a little hope. Listen, Greg, I'm not going to allow myself to go there. I will say what I've said a million times since the start of the season. This team is immensely talented. Immensely talented. Like I said, this team would win 14 games. So if I'm wrong and they win 11, okay. I'd be fine with that. But are they going to run the table? Hard to imagine that. Hard to imagine. But listen, wins make you feel good. Feel good right now. But teams far from perfect. Really, what makes me feel good, what makes me more optimistic right now than anything is the way Aaron Rodgers played in that second half. That, as I said earlier, that second half of football against the Houston Texans is what the Jets were supposed to look like this year. Everything went, a couple penalties, that's going to happen. But by and large, that second half against the Houston Texans tonight was exactly what we thought the Jets would be this year. Especially after the Devontae Adams trade. You thought Aaron Rodgers is going to get in sync with his receivers. We're going to see big plays down the field. We're going to see touchdowns. We're going to see Garrett Wilson making plays. We're going to see Breece Hall running well behind the offensive line. And we're going to see a defense that can get after the quarterback when they have a lead. We thought that's what this Jets team was going to be this year. They have not been up until the second half tonight. Is it a fluke? Is it an aberration? Or is this team about to go on a run? We're going to have to wait a few weeks to find out. But tonight's second half effort, tonight's second half performance is what we thought we were getting with the 2024 New York Jets. Dano, how are we doing, Dano? Let's just enjoy weekend. Exactly. That's the thing. It's, you want to look ahead. You want to think what can be, but I think I've said it once or twice. I'm just happy. I'm just happy they got a win. It's been an embarrassing few weeks. And now, and it's a quality team. Probably it was the best team left on their schedule, which is kind of nice because you're going to build a lot more confidence, I think, when you beat a 6-2 team versus if you'd beaten, a team that's sitting there at 2-4, 2-5, a team with your record, the Patriots last week. Like it would have been nice to get off the schneid and get a win, but last week didn't happen. But even if you do it, you think in the back of the player's mind, you take a win when you can get it, but they know deep down we didn't beat anybody. But now you take on the Texans, you're like, all right, now we beat a 6-2 club. That's the best team left on our schedule. If we can beat them, there's not another team we shouldn't be able to beat. Although I'll tell you what, Sauce is gonna have to step up because he got Marvin Harrison Jr. coming to town, and that dude is. I mean, everybody knew he's already one of the best receivers in the NFL, and you felt like the second he was drafted, he was a top 5 or 6 receiver. He was that good in college. Um, let's see, Adams is human. He dropped passes. Yeah, that was a big drop that Devontae had. Joe Douglas needs to get a DT before the deadline. Listen, Quentin Jefferson, you mentioned. I tweeted. I think I wrote an article on that like 3 weeks ago. Big Frank, and that was the exact name I mentioned. Let's check. I'm going to take a quick look here because for those of you who are unaware, a few weeks ago, for no reason at all, or at least no reason that anyone was aware of, people seemed surprised. The Cleveland Browns benched Quentin Jefferson. Let's see. I want to take a look and see if he's been playing in Cleveland. Excuse me. Take a look at his snap counts. No, he hasn't played in a few weeks. Don't know that he's injured, but he last time he played was week 5, and he's a guy, like I said, when the Browns first benched him a few weeks ago, I wrote an article saying, "Hey," or I can't article tweet, I can't even remember. I think I wrote an article on guys suggestion target, and I said like, "Go get this guy back. If Cleveland has no use for him, go get him." So let's see. And Rich says, we all know Rich, and this is the thing. This isn't just a Jets fan thing. This isn't just me or Dylan or whoever, Chris, whoever. You listen to commentators from around the league, former coaches, former players. Yes, some players are going to clown the Jets. The Jets deserve it. But whether it's national level media, local media, podcasters, us, dopey bloggers, as I like to say, everyone universally. And again, the key thing here is like people not affiliated with the team, people who don't cover the team. Everyone is saying this team has so much talent. They have so much talent. Look at all the talent on this team. Look at all the good players. Look at Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. Like there's talent here, a lot of it. Why aren't they winning? Well, today they won, and it gets the 3rd win of the year. So hopefully, I want nothing more. I wrote an article earlier saying start Fashanu with the playoffs out of the picture, with with playoff hopes over. I write that and think to myself, I'm writing this because I want people to bring it back to me and shove it in my face and say you were wrong. I want this team to make the damn playoffs. This team is talented enough to be. This is one of the most talented teams in the league, but they haven't been able to put it together. And that's, like I said, that's been my fear of late. Is they are going to put it together and go on a run when it's too late. And again, this might be, for all we know, this could be the last game they win this year. But I just think they're way too good. Beloved P says technically they still can win 14 games. Good call. Good call. I would like nothing more than to be right about the win total from here moving forward. Let's see. When the Texans kicker doinked the field goal, I felt bad. I felt our bad juju going to the Texans. Maybe they passed it on. Dano, Glenn, thanks for all you do. Time to compartmentalize, though. Only 2 games in all of November, which means some mobility back for Rodgers. I'll tell you what, the run today, where Olu got it called back with the hold, might have been his best of the year. Rodgers, sort of weaving through traffic, picked up what would have been a big first down. Sauce stinks. So there's no denying he is struggling like we've never seen him struggle. But he's still too good. You're not going to bench him. Teams still, it's a weird thing. Teams don't challenge him a ton. They're challenging him more now. But teams there's still a degree of respect there. And Sauce he's just out of sorts. And, during the offseason when he was posting all those golfing videos, I just thought, man, if he has a bad year, fans are going to give him so much crap for the time he spent golfing and not footballing. Kyler Murray is a handful. He is my holy king. I think with Sherwood and Wood, you got to spy him. You got to do a better job than you do with Drake May and Jacoby Brissett, or you'll get eaten alive. 8 sacks, impressive, absolutely. Kyler Murray is the size of Prince with speed. Prince, like the singer Prince? Is that what you mean? 2 sacks for Sherwood. Clemens had 2 more. That's right. Yeah, I said Clemens had one earlier. I forgot he had a second one. 7 sacks, week 3 2. When it rains, it pours. Rich, how we doing, Rich? This team has a pulse. Nice win against a good team. Absolutely. Shorthanded. Well, Jets are shorthanded too, Rich. They were down to, they had a tackle playing guard because they're third guard. Again, I don't know if Hansen got hurt or if he was struggling and they pulled him. There was, let's see. Yeah, again, Max Mitchell at left guard, Olu at right guard, and no Alan Lazard, who, yes, Alan Lazard kills you and drives you nuts with the drops, but he's still one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets, still the team leader in receiving touchdowns. Garrett may have tied him tonight, not sure. Let's see. Rich says 99 is proven legit one. Listen, great year for Will McDonald, right? And I said it. A few people have reminded me. Need to repeat this. I didn't dislike the Will McDonald pick because of the player. I thought receiver was the way to go in that spot. And I said a million billion times, Will McDonald is going to be exactly what I'm saying about Olu this year. I think Olu Fashanu is going to be a very good player. I just thought that for a team without an elite tight end, Brock Bowers was the pick. Same thing last year. I felt like the Jets needed a receiver who can get open in a hurry out of the slot. To me, that was Jackson Smith and Jigba. And they took Will McDonald, who I said will be a very good player. I think Olu will be a very good player. I just think Bowers was the pick. We'll see what happens, over the course of their careers. I think early on, Bowers is as good as advertised. But look, they got a good player in Fashanu, and he played well tonight. So kudos to him. Tip of the cap. Yeah, Mike says, call me crazy, but I think the O-line looked very good with Mitchell and Olu playing guard. Wholly agree. I completely agree, Mike. And that's what I said. Excuse me. What I said earlier that I thought made no sense. How in the world does your O-line struggle all year, and then you got to switch it up with 2 different guys in the same game, and they just hit the ground running? It's absolutely phenomenal. Without looking too far ahead, we're the 10th seed in the AFC. There you go. We'll take it right now. We can still be the team nobody wants to play. Absolutely. Absolutely. That, no doubt. Because if you're playing a team with as much talent as the Jets, and, if and when the Jets are eliminated, when that team has nothing to lose and they have more talent than you, you're in big trouble because they can just get stupid. 4th and 8, go for it. Who cares? Doesn't matter. So, yeah, we'll see. Rich says when Will McDonald bulks up. That's the goal. That's the goal. Olu guard, if AVT is going to be out for a bit, I think it's clear as day right now that for as long as AVT is out, Olu should be your right guard. The way he played tonight, get that young man some reps. Jets are never anything special, but man, that was fun to watch once. Brady, I would argue that second half was special. Again, still haven't put a full game together, but Aaron Rodgers, 15 out of 18, and Garrett Wilson, one of the best touchdown catches you'll ever see. A bomb touchdown for Devontae Adams, a bunch of sacks. That second half was special. The Jets give CJ Stroud fits. Man, they killed him twice. Last year when they played him, they beat him up pretty good. How do you guys think this will handle getting into shootouts? Worry because our defense doesn't generate turnovers. They don't generate turnovers, piece, but I think as long as they're scoring points and having leads not always playing from behind, they're going to be able to get to the quarter, especially with Reddick. Again, as I said earlier, he got his first sack of the year for the Jets. Let's see. Jacob says cut ties with AVT. He's done. Well, let's see how much time he misses, Jacob. If a guy misses 3 or 4 games, I can live with that. It's the NFL, it happens. But if AVT has another 6, 7, 8 games missed, I mean, they're not going to cut ties because they picked up his 5th-year option. But I think if he's hurt again, for an extended period of time this year, he's going to have a difficult time getting, unless he plays 17 games next year, he's going to have a hard time getting a deal from the Jets to hang around. What catch is better than Garrett Wilson's tonight? His or Odell's? I got to be honest. I think Odell's, because Odell did it at a time when it's because of Odell that other guys are making these catches. That Odell catch almost seems routine nowadays. Not routine, but we've seen guys make similar catches now because Odell's was the first. And I think Garrett Wilson, I'd have to look. Well, the DB was he was there. He wasn't on him, but he was there. Out of both great catches, man. Put it that way. My question is, I said earlier, which catch do you like better, tonight's touchdown or last year's Week 1 touchdown against Buffalo, where he tipped the ball to himself in the air? That's a hell of a catch too. Both of those great catches. So great effort from the Jets in the second half tonight. Extremely frustrating that they didn't play like this last week, or this whole thing, this whole even last week. Forget about the Steelers loss. Forget about just if they had won last week and then did what they did today. This entire conversation is different. Like you're looking at, yeah, win the next 6, 7, win the next 5, and get yourself right in the playoff hunt. But they've done it to themselves. The Jets have put themselves in this position. Nobody to blame. Like they say, take a look in the mirror. Um, you know, Greg Zerline's mirror should maybe be a little clearer, a little bigger than everybody else. And I feel terrible for these guys. I don't get as angry at these players as a lot of fans seem to. And it's not because I don't care. It's just because it look, if I see a guy, if I see lack of effort, if I think a guy doesn't give a damn, then hell yeah, dog him out for screwing up. You look at Greg Zerline, you look at these guys who make even Corley, as angry as I was earlier, but with Corley, it's like it's just a dumb mistake. Like Zerline, it's a physical thing. And it's in your head. You're missing shanking field goals. I feel a great deal of sympathy for that guy. Malachi Corley, not so much sympathy as aggravation. Like carry the ball to the end, but I see that he cares. You see the response afterwards. So go get it done. As Rich says in the chat, Denver, Vikings, Steelers were all winnable games, and they absolutely were. They absolutely were. That Vikings game, absolutely killer. The Denver game, I still feel like Salah lost that game for them. That those last couple plays, I'm either running Braylon or we saw Aaron Rodgers was limping around the field in that game. He got hit those last couple plays. I might have gone to Tyrod and just tell him if there's not something there, just run. Just get us 10, 12 yards closer for the field goal attempt. Rather than have Greg the Leg, whether he's in a slump or not, hitting a 50-yarder in rain like that, not an easy task. So Wesley says this win was painful. Wesley, I would say the first half was painful. Second half was a thing of beauty. And that Vikings loss did hurt. Jesus Christ, the money I spent on that damn seat. Listen, it's up. Moving on from the Vikings, that PTSD of looking at my bank statement after that disastrous loss. Key losses, guys. Key losses, key spots. Let's hope they keep this rolling. Let's hope my brother did as well. Sorry to hear it, Rich. Sorry to hear it. I could have flown to New York and gone to a game for what I paid for those 2 seats, 2 hours from my house. Drove down to the game. But anyway, big win for the Jets tonight. Huge performance from Aaron Rodgers in the second half. Looked like a completely different ball club. They're easily their best half of the year against a quality opponent. Hey, Arizona's up next. Let's see what happens. Have a good one, Jets fans.